My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And today I want to talk about growing your own food. Earlier today, we had Dr. Claude Anderson on, and we were talking about land ownership as one of the keys to success for Black people, which also connects to the idea of controlling your food supply and at least having access to healthy food and things like that. And so this brother that I have on today, that I just really am excited to have him on because I know he knows what he's talking about. He goes by the name of Farmer Brown, the MC. And basically what he has done is he's used the power of hip hop to help our people understand the importance of growing food and the importance of agriculture in general. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome my brother to the stage. How you doing today, man?
What's going on, Dr. Boyce? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, brother, I'm glad to have you, man. I'm glad that, you and I have known about each other for a long time. I think I probably heard about you the first time maybe like over a decade ago, right?
Yeah, it's been, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And so, and John is here. There's John Harris, and John and Farmer Brown, the MC, have been partners for a real long time on this agriculture thing. And so what we wanted to do was, and we should have did this a long time ago. I don't know why it never happened before, but I'm glad it's happening now. Is I want to talk to the people about this and sort of start with this discussion about agriculture, land ownership, food supply, things like that. And I have no idea. I want everybody to know I have no idea exactly what direction the conversation is going to go. I had no plan. I'm literally here with no plan except for me to shut up and let these brothers talk. So let's start from the beginning. Farmer Brown, I'll start with you, man. Tell us your background and how you got into agriculture and all that good stuff.
And so, truth be told, I kind of stumbled into it. I actually got my background doing hip hop music. Did some internships for an artist out of Lexington, Kentucky, Rob Jackson, and Black Coffee with Arista and Motown Records. Lived down in Atlanta for about 5 years. Turned up for a little bit. You know how wild Atlanta can be. Found myself back in Lexington, Kentucky about 2006. Was a janitor for a few years. I realized at some point I needed to do a little bit more with my life. And so a few friends of mine, we came up with a lawn care company called Hero, Hometown Environmental Restoration Operation. And so the concept, we heard that concept, restoration operation. I don't know if you remember when Obama was campaigning back in 2008. A lot of us were optimistic. We just knew, we got a brother in there. We got a chance. We hear these words like restoration and urban and all of this. And so we thought, hey, we're in a neighborhood where there's a lot of distressed properties. So let's get into business. And so that's actually when I got my first business in 2009. Fast forward, one of my friends told me that, hey, you can get paid going to school. And what he meant was you can get a scholarship. And so in my mind, I had an unsuccessful try back in 99 going to school. And so I figured, okay, I'm a little older, a little bit more focused. Let me go to school, kind of build my resume. So I enrolled in environmental science and technology at one of our community colleges up here in Lexington, Kentucky, Bluegrass Community and Technical College. And I mean, coming from Atlanta to an environmental science setting, and I was always the only melanated person in all of my classes. There was one brother from Detroit the first semester. He didn't make it after the second semester. And it was a very, what I'll say, a very interesting, enriching program. I mean, we're talking about soil samples. This is my first time going on a nature hike. And I mean, it was exciting. Not only was, I found a little niche for myself, but I fast forward, I graduated from there with my associates in environmental science and technology, and I had a scholarship to go to an 1890s land grant institution. And so it was pretty much a spin the bottle situation how I got into agriculture. I had to pick a STEM field. And so, once again, I attended Kentucky State University College of Agriculture. And I was thinking in my head, okay, I've been around these white folks for the last 2 years. I'm about to go to K-State because that's where we used to turn up when I was younger. We always knew the HBCU as a place where the girls were. It's where the parties were. And so I just stumbled upon the scholarship because I got in geek mode, when I was going to community college. And it was literally the same dynamic. It was the same dynamic. There was a little bit more melanin, but the melanin was from different parts of the diaspora other than, where we're at, what we'll call North America. And so fast forward, I got into my junior year and I had to do a practicum project. And so, you know, I'm hip hop. I live hip hop. And so, you know, I felt kind of idiotic because by this time I was 30 years old. Most of my classmates were in their, you know, 18, 19 years old. And so it was just amazing how these people knew so much about farming and agriculture. And when it was brought to my attention that only 2%, which is actually decreased, but at that time, only 2% of 100% farmers in North America were Black, that it befuddled me. And so, you know, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I go home, I talk to my mom, talk to my family, talk about all these exciting things I'm learning about agriculture and farming. And I was talking to my niece, I think I told you this story, and she thought her hamburger grew on trees. And she was very serious about this. And so the character Farmer Brown, I got in kind of troll uncle mode. I'm like, okay, I can do something with this. I got a project coming up. I wonder if hip hop, since we see that hip hop can sell alcohol, hip hop can sell clothes, hip hop can sell drugs, hip hop sells anything that you see people spending big money on. And so the simple concept was, this is before Bill Cosby got in trouble. I was like, you know, maybe I can be a hip hop Bill Cosby of agriculture. And so I came up with the Farmer Brown character, and I really took a research-based approach. The original goal was to reach 300 third through fifth graders. Did a few music videos, 2 hip hop albums. Since then, I've reached over 20,000, spanning over about 5 states. And one of the common themes that is very sobering is that we're severely disconnected from where our food comes from. If you want to break it down economically, so right now in North America, Black farmers, and keep in mind, agriculture, this is what started civilization. Before there were any other businesses, people had to eat to even ponder, you know, how are we going to trade? How are we going to do commerce, or, you know, around our communities? Black farmers only get 0.2% of this $1 trillion industry in North America. Not 2%, but 0.2% of $1 trillion industry. When we think about the value of land, I've never known of a time that land has devalued. Black farmers only control 0.4% of farmland. That's the difference. You know, we throw this number around 1.4%, which is the primary operator percentage right now in North America. But that's very different from owning your land, because a lot of farmers are leasing land, and it isn't a bad thing, but you can appreciate the value of ownership. When we think about, we had discussed on the Black Boss channel on the B1 Ag show about this farmer covert relief for farmers of color act. To me personally, you know, coming from an agricultural perspective, so now I'm kind of jumping around, but to give you my background, I've been working in cooperative extension now for the last 6 years, and I see this steady decline in resources being made available to the farmers. I mean, publicly, anytime you listen to the president, even the past president, hey, we're going to help you by making it rain on these HBCUs. And so from ground level, I can definitely appreciate the value of the HBCUs and the land-grant universities, because this is where the bag is when we think about HBCUs. But once again, if the bag is here and we don't have a communal appreciation of the baskets that are needed to reap these benefits, then a lot of people go without, and you'll get a Farmers of Color Act, which is based around the struggle of Black farmers, but everybody else in the world is benefiting. So long story short, that's the purpose of Farmer Brown, is just to bring attention. Agriculture is a game of niches. Everybody doesn't have to be a green thumb. Everybody doesn't have to be a technician. We need money men. We need lawyers. So that's something we'll get into a little later as we have this discussion.
So let me ask you this. So I'm gonna switch over to John. You know, so let me ask you this, John. You know, when you talk about the struggle of Black farmers, you know, I'm also thinking about, you know, in addition to which I know y'all address in the B1 Ag show, that, you know, that there's also that general issue of just food security. And I know that, you know, with Alicia, there are times where, you know, she wants, actually, this surprised me. Alicia told me that, she's my fiance. She told me that when I mentioned that I was bringing you and Farmer Brown on, she said, yeah, Farmer Brown showed me how to create my garden. You know, I said, he did. She said, yeah. She said, he explained how to make potatoes by putting them in a bucket or something. And she said that's how she was made. I said, and I had no idea that she had learned, you know, from Farmer Brown. So you know, do you think that there's also sort of this? Where does the conversation fit for those that may not necessarily be farmers? You know, for those of us that say, look, we're not farmers, but we are concerned about food security and just the fact that they're putting crap in our food that is unhealthy. And I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about that. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that as well. How do I even begin that process of maybe trying to grow some food or do something? Like, what can I do? You know, I can support Black farmers, but what can I do beyond that to support myself to make sure that I'm even able to get access to the kind of food that I need to be eating?
Put some seeds in the ground. That's the best thing you can do is grow it for yourself. Food security, like everyone doesn't have to be a farmer per se to, you know, supply food for as a business or supply food to multiple people, but you do have that power, and there's a lot of practical wisdom as well as economic power you gain with the knowledge of being able to grow your own food. My grandfather, I grew up with my grandfather. My grandfather was a farmer. So basically the way I got into agriculture is we were eating. I was eating and my grandfather was just looking at me. So I'm eating, you know, just a young big boy, you know, eating, and my granddad is just looking at me. And then he said, "You eat too much." So he said, "You have to come with me." You know what I'm saying? So that was my introduction to agriculture. I ate too much. I ate so much that I had to contribute to how this food came into the house. So that was my introduction to agriculture. But I didn't really appreciate it until I went to college. Because when I went to college, that's when I got introduced to these things called ramen noodles. Like I never knew what a ramen noodle was. You know, we always, no matter how much money or how little money we had in our pocket, we always ate very rich. I'm talking about steaks and 3-4 different types of meat every single meal, all 4 or 5 different types of vegetables. You know, we ate rich, no matter how much money we had in our pocket. And I realized when I went to also going to, everybody didn't live like that. Everybody didn't grow up like that. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up very blessed, but it's a blessing that we can claim for ourselves just by planting some seeds and growing our own food.
So Farmer Brown the MC, that's who I'm speaking with, and also John Harris, who is a partner, John Henry Harris. Everybody, by the way, before we move on, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button, subscribe to the blackbosschannel.com. This is where they do the B1 Ag Show. It's a great platform if you are interested in anything related to agriculture, growing your own food and beyond, just what's going on with the food, which is a whole conversation in itself. Let me jump to this question. So Farmer Brown, I'm going to ask you this question, man. What should we be alarmed about the kind of food that we're being asked to eat? Like, if so, what should we be alarmed about?
Do you think that the intelligent Black people that subscribe to your network would like to eat plastic rice?
I don't know. Let me ask the audience. Give me a yes or no if you think plastic rice sounds good. Do you like to eat plastic rice? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down. What do y'all think? Go ahead.
What about 3D printed chicken nuggets?
How do you okay? 3D printed chicken nuggets? Okay. Please explain.
What about lab grown meat?
Live grown meat.
Laboratory grown meat.
Lab grown meat. Okay. So we got plastic rice, 3D printed chicken nuggets, lab grown meat. Okay, let's start
scratching the surface. And I want to add to that. Wow. So right now, one of the buzzwords is plant-based. The devil is in the details. If you read the ingredients, a lot of times it doesn't really specify what the plant is. Something like soy, for example, it's great for the soil. Soy has very many uses, but as something that we consume on a large scale, soy has been known to cause hormonal changes. A lot of times when we're trying to save money or eating fast, a lot of the foods we eat, fast foods, are filled with soy. There's also herbicides in the food and other pesticides in the food, such as atrazine, that has been known to cause sex changes in frogs. Just to put this into perspective now, let me play devil's advocate. Agriculture or any business is driven by consumption. We're a world of 7.6 billion people, a nation of 390 million people that have to eat every single day. Some people are fortunate. Most of us actually 75% of us only live on 3% of the land in North America. Of 1.9 billion acres, 75% of us only live on 3% of the land. Saying that to say, you know, people have to eat. Like you were talking about those noodles, that's something you eat when you're balling on a budget. I'm jumping around, but when we think about what's going on now and the implications of having pre-existing conditions, this is 100% tied to our diet. When you think about the Southeast, which ironically is where the majority of Black farmers are, some parts of, say, Louisiana are Cancer Alley. This is where some of the worst health outcomes are, and this is the area where the best food is grown. So once again, this is why it's healthy for us to grow our own food. The thought of putting it into somebody else's hands to produce our own food. I mean, most natural living organisms, the first thing they teach offspring is how to procure food, either how to hunt. You know, what is this thing running across the savannah that I need to eat so I can get to the next day? And so, and that's not even getting into the business. So saying that to say it is absolutely imperative that we begin to, I ain't gonna say begin, because all we're doing is remixing what our ancestors did. We need to reintroduce this as a huge part of our culture. You asked the question, how does one get started? The simple answer is starting with the seed, but really looking at a term called urban agriculture, meaning you don't necessarily have to be on a large plot of land to grow food. You can literally grow a whole year's worth of individual's produce consumption on 200 square feet, a family of 800 square feet. When you think about urban gardening, we had done a story about the mayor in Compton. They have a whole facility where they've been able to condense 750 acres into a 95,000 square foot facility where you can go upwards. When you think about a lot of the buildings, I know Chicago is one of the urban garden capitals of the United States. Rooftop gardens. When we say vertical, you can grow along a wall. When we think about Dr. Phil Valentine and the Juice Plus system. And so there are a lot of creative ways to grow your food. And so this proverbial seed that Hen spoke of is just once you understand the basic concepts, no different than raising a baby, you have to cultivate it, you know, plant it. No, we know why we want to feed the baby, because we want them to grow up and live. And so it's having that, literally applying that same science and urgency when you're planting your food. It's not a little cute activity. I mean, growing flowers is cool, but we're really talking about food security. Over this past year with the pandemic, you know, specifically in our community, food insecurity has gone up dramatically, more so than every other group.
Really?
These are things we can address.
Wow, man, that's heavy. I'll tell you, you know, when they say things like health is wealth and stuff like that, I had to learn, you know, just kind of, you know, from me growing up, not understanding the things that you guys understand. I had to learn that if you don't think about what's going on in your body, you're going to have some serious problems. And that it seems to me that a lot of the illnesses that we take for granted, things that we just think are going to happen, you know, the fact that we have, in fact, I want to ask everybody in the chat, how many of you have had at least one relative die of cancer? Let's say in the last 5 years, 5 to 10 years, how many of you have had at least one relative die of cancer? Right, raise your hand in the chat. Say the person's name. Actually, my grandmother Felicia is the person, and my father has cancer, and you know, so it's cancer's kind of everywhere. And then what? So when I would see people like yourself talking, it started making me wonder. Okay, you know, maybe we're taking this for granted and assuming that everybody just dies of cancer and nothing you can do about it. But maybe there's something going on with what we're eating from an early age that's causing. So maybe can one of you guys kind of speak on that in terms of what you're observing in terms of changes in the food supply that might be leading to all these crazy health outcomes that we're seeing, particularly amongst our people?
Right now, I challenge your listeners, my bad, real quick. I challenge your listeners to look what's going on with chicken. Right now, there's a shortage in chicken. When you think about the Popeyes chicken sandwiches, you know, you have to smile not to cry about it. But there's a run on chicken. You know, systems have been disrupted across the world. And so going back to this point about the 3D printed chicken, you'll hear, you know, on a governmental level, people talking about, oh, carbon tax, we need to save the environment. A lot of this is due to the way we produce chickens. Now, we could demonize it, or we can look at our consumption habits. If you have X amount of tens of thousands of chicken vendors around the country that always have a stream of people that want chicken, that's, you know, chickens take time to grow. And so what happens as a result, you have to start adding chemicals, different hormones to be able to supply this demand. Now, once again, we can point out a boogeyman or look at, okay, as long as I continue eating, whoever I'm buying this from is going to continue to sell it to me. Something like Popeyes, for example, is inevitably not even being nefarious. Inevitably, if these people keep coming lining around the corner for these chicken sandwiches, I got to think of a better way to raise chickens, because the population it always increases. We're supposed to hit 9 billion people on the planet by in the next 20 years. And so everybody's going to have to eat. That's going to be a common need of every human walking this planet. And so what that means is you're having to increase the food production. On one end, I don't want to sound negative, because here lies the opportunity for what our ancestors built the wealth of this country through agriculture, right? And so we now see that the whole system has been disrupted to where, okay, we have to produce things fast. I'm going to tell you another story. This is an old white farmer told me this back a few years back. In Asia, they don't have the same food quality standards, and this is throwing no shade on any group. We take for granted that everybody has the same food quality standards as, say, the USDA, which is supposedly the gold standard of food quality. We don't know what we're eating. I was told there were wildebeest being sold here as beef. A few weeks back, we were mulling over a story that alligator meat, raw alligator meat, was being sold as seafood. Wow. If you don't produce your food, even if you don't go into being a farmer, it's a knowledge and at least knowing what a real chicken looks like. Some of us have never seen a real chicken. You talk to some elders, they'll say, I don't know what that is. I mean, it flaps, it got a beak, but that's not what I grew up on. And so if you don't know any better, then you can eat anything. And I guess what's disappointing about it is we pay for it. It's marketable.
Wow. Well, John, I saw, John, you had something to say on that. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's all about survival. Growing your own food is a ancient knowledge, and it's a survival skill. This is my thing. It is a survival skill. So why would you not want to know something that is a survival skill? Food, clothing, shelter. Those are three of the main pillars to wealth and life. And these are all food, clothing, shelter are all three things that you can grow yourself, literally. You can for as far as the fiber for your clothes, you can grow that. The materials that you need to build your home or build your shelter, you can grow that. Food, you can grow it yourself. And the less you have to go outside of yourself to sustain yourself, that's power. And so that's what I want people to realize, is that growing your own is very powerful. Now, when it comes to that's on an individual scale. Now we're talking about the food system and how it's tied together on a global scale. Everything is global now, but it's a formidable, like a big, huge, gargantuan connection, but it's so fragile. So when they had the Suez Canal blockage, seeing all the gas prices go up now. That's why you're seeing grocery prices go up now, because all of those products that were on that ship, they had to go to waste. And that causes shortages. So it's like, okay, a ship that gets stuck in Egypt affects us in Waycross, Georgia, in Lexington, Kentucky, in Louisville, Kentucky, in Compton, California, and everywhere. And
wow.
They're being that tied and that wide and also that delicate, even with our energy. We've seen that in Texas when they had the ice storm. With everything being that delicate, the more we're able to produce our own food as well as our own power, there's nothing but it's practical, and it's a win for yourself.
Well, that Suez Canal thing was real interesting. And by the way, actually, before I talk about that, I want to mention everybody. I'm talking to Farmer Brown, the MC, and John Henry Harris, his partner, and we're talking about growing your own food and food security for the Black community. Do me a favor, take a second, everybody, hit the thumbs up button. This is Black Media. We're trying to grow this. We could really use your help. And also subscribe to the Black Boss channel. The Black Boss channel is a channel we built to allow men to speak. And so we have experts on health and agriculture, like Farmer Brown, the MC, and Nathaniel Jordan, the Minister of Health. We've got Jeff Lightsey Jr., who does sports every single day. We have people coming in there talking about stocks and things like that, relationships, everything from a Black male perspective. So if you want to hear from Black men, or you are a Black man, go to theblackbosschannel.com and please sign up. So let me ask you guys this. With the Suez Canal thing, when they shut down, that tripped me out. They had this, the Suez Canal got blocked. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you all heard about that. The Suez Canal got blocked for like a week, I guess, or almost a week. And they were talking about how it just shut down trade like all around the world. Like ecosystems were just disrupted. And that made me really reflect on just how complex these systems are. And it's almost like with Black folks, like we are so far behind on all of that because we were enslaved for so long that we don't even, we're thinking about things that have nothing. It's almost like when you got the grown-ups in the house that are handling the grown stuff, like making sure that the rent's paid and, and that the roof is fixed and all that. And the kids are just playing. The kids are thinking about video games and whatever, but you got real stuff going on. And I thought about that. I said, I wonder how in tune our people are in things like the fragility of global supply chains, or the fact that they can literally starve 80% of the Black community just like that if something went wrong with the food supply. Because most of us are collapsing in the urban areas. Dr. Claude Anderson brought that up today, and maybe Farmer Brown, maybe that's the place we could start off at. Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about two things today that were really interesting. One was how Black people actually owned a lot more land 100 years ago than we own today. And also he said that most Black people are in the urban centers, and that if they wanted to starve or poison all of us just like that, they could do that very easily, because there's a lot of complexities going on with food security, among other things that we're not even aware of. What are your thoughts on that?
In 1925, Black unemployment for males was lower than white males. In 1925, Black males were more likely to be employed than white males. What was going on during that time? This is a few years after Black Wall Street in Tulsa. We were agrarian. We were producing. We had no choice. We had to produce for ourselves. The majority of Black farmers represented 15% of the farmers back in 1910. It was when we had no choice. We weren't integrated. We weren't lulled to sleep that we had all of this love and help. Napoleon Bonaparte was credited with saying an army marches on its stomachs. They went on this campaign into Egypt, and they didn't have time to can food or nothing. They just went, and his men, they went hung, they starved to death. They started shooting each other. They started going crazy because he didn't do long-term planning. So he put out a bag of like, I think 1,200 francs or 12,000 francs for somebody to come up with refrigeration. I'm saying this to say, when we have this B1 Ag conversation, agriculture isn't just about producing the food. How do we store it for these urban areas? Houston should have been a huge case study for us. Anybody that lives in a city surrounded by people that don't like us too much, if these stores shut down, because every store you go to, Costco, Whole Foods, Kroger, Publix, Sunflower, wherever you're at, has 3 days worth of food. 3 days worth of food. Because once again, I don't want to have this huge building and all of this inventory. And so strategically speaking, these stores are literally made to hold 3 days worth of food. See, when it comes to essential, we're trying to get reparations for something that was clearly done 400 years ago and still going on. And so I got an idea, if it came to a us versus them situation with our food security, you can think who would probably have the door shut. We were doing an interview the other day. We were talking about during the Freddie Gray riots, there was a Republican congressman a legislator out of Maryland that had proposed, okay, as a means of getting these looters, this word looters, out of the street, cut the food stamps. It wasn't passed, but he was comfortable enough to say this publicly. This is before Trump. This is before MAGA. Saying that to say, once something has been brought to your attention as a possible problem, it's not a sky's falling situation. And actually, we think to the contrary. I think this is one of the best opportunities we've had in a long time. We see the divisions, the gender, all of these different divisions. But one thing we all have in common is we all have to eat. The whole United States food system is disrupted. The whole system is disrupted. We know at the end of the day, is this proverbial veil is being lifted. It is our ancestors, our great-great-grandparents that built this agricultural system. We didn't have Dr. Boyce Watkins, you know, back in the 1800s when all this land was being taken and people didn't know that, you know, hey, you taking a loss over there 500 miles away from me. We weren't able to connect. And so I can only imagine if our ancestors had access through a platform such as this to talk with one another, to market their products to one another, then they wouldn't have wasted, I ain't gonna say wasted, they wouldn't have spent decades of their lives waiting for the white market to accept them. They wouldn't have spent decades of their lives asking for the USDA to give them a loan only to get spit on. This is from John Boyd, Peace to the Elder. They wouldn't have gotten all these predatory loans where they ended up defaulting on and then losing their land to the white tenant who was able to get it for pennies on the dollar. And so all of these dynamics add to why we find ourselves in this situation. But like I said, our benefit is this is in our genetics. We drive culture. And like the thing we have in common is we all have to eat. Like I don't need to know your ideology. I don't need to know what form of God, whether you even believe in God or not, to know that if you want to get to the next day, which what first law is survival, you have to eat. And so to that degree, you know, like I said, agriculture is a game of niches. What can you provide within this food system? Are you somebody that's just in the real estate? I don't know nothing about food, but I know how to purchase buildings. I know how to work logistics. You got a lot of carpenters right now. Earlier today at work, so like I said, I work cooperative extension. I don't want to talk your head off. I was fortunate to be around some elder gentlemen. I think the oldest one had to be 80. They're out there working on the shed. It was about 5 of them, just kicking it, smoking on the pipe. One of them was, you know, shooting the breeze. But they were just talking like, man, you know, it's so hard to find any help anymore these days. And I mean, these men are 80, you know, the strong, burly black men. You know what I'm saying? But they can't find help. And we find ourselves in a community where, you know, we're trying to find jobs. You know, we have a lot of people, young people especially, looking for jobs. And then you have all of these stats. And some of these men are, you know, well-to-do, 6-figure men, but can't find help. You know, I know a lot of black farmers that would love to have somebody come out and just mentor, follow behind them to be able to pass this knowledge down. And so the degree that we're able to market the importance, you know, social marketing is huge. To market the importance of agriculture or finding a niche within it, or just for our food system, if nothing else, is something we need to do yesterday.
Well, you know, I tell you what you're talking about makes a lot of sense. It's almost like we, and maybe John, maybe you can speak on this for sure. It seems to me like we kind of, you know, when we got caught up in, it's not that it was bad that we got caught up in, you know, getting college degrees and all that. It's almost like though we kind of went after that one thing and detached ourselves from basic skills and common sense. You know, like it's okay to own a college degree, but it's better to really own some land in a lot of cases, right? Or
I definitely can speak on that.
Yeah, it's good to have a nice, you know, a nice job. It's good for you, fine. But it's also good to have a nice business. You know, it's good to be able to go live in the city and the suburbs and all that. But maybe it's just as better to, you know, own some other assets that allow you to have some independence and security, where you ask yourself, you know, what happens if they do cut us off? You know, if they cut us off from the food, we're done. You know, the food and the water and all that. And Dr. Claude Anderson repeatedly has stated that there are going to be shortages on food and water in the near future, and that we will starve to death. A lot of our people will starve. So, John, can you kind of speak to that, everything I just said?
Well, that's definitely one of my driving forces in being an advocate for agriculture. My grandfather, again, I ate too much, so I had to go out in the field with him. So I learned a lot with my grandfather out there in those fields. But I also kind of at a young age, you know, I was away from my friends. They were out playing. I was always working. So I had developed almost just a disdain. Like, well, I can't wait to go to college so I can get my degree and get me a good office job.
Wow.
No, I don't have to come home all dirty and smelly, and, you know, I can just go get a good office job. I can dress up, come home clean, smelling like my favorite cologne. You know, that was my thought. But again, as I got older, I realized that, you know, growing your own food, working for yourself, there was nobody out there in the fields micromanaging us. There's nobody out there playing these mind games with us. There's no salary cap to how much money you can make. It's whatever you bring to harvest. You know, they're not paying you by, like, I'm not making my money by the hour. I'm making it by how much I can produce. So if you're a high producer, you're going to be a high earner. So, you know, like, you set yourself up just to be a winner either way.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what, I think that this is something that, you know, I mean, I think we can forgive ourselves for not knowing these things, because we were just not raised on any of this. You know, we were really raised to be white supremacists in a lot of ways, you know, where we just have certain things that we weren't even trained to even think about. And I think now we're kind of figuring this out, which means we can do better with our kids. And speaking of kids, one of the things I like what you're doing, man, Farmer Brown, is, y'all don't know, there's a reason we call him Farmer Brown, the MC, right? It's because he's actually made some really creative representations of hip hop that have really helped kids learn about agriculture in a really creative way. And I'm gonna share this video with you guys. It's okay. I asked the audience and ask y'all, is it okay if I share one of your videos? Is that cool? Farmer Brown, you good with that? All right, all right. So this is a song he had called "Grow Harder," and I thought it was creative. And again, you know, we got hip hop music that's teaching our kids. You know, they're selling everything from liquor to drugs to killing, right? So why don't we sell shoes? Wait, say it again.
Satan shoes.
There we go, Satan shoes and everything else. So why don't we sell life to our kids as opposed to selling them death? You know. So here's a song. It's called "Grow Harder," and I'm gonna play this video for you guys. I think you're gonna like it. I thought it was pretty cool. So here we go.
First I break the ground, then I till it up, fertilizer down, let's see it, sow it up, let it get some sun, every day I water it, watch out for pests and weeds, until I harvest it, let it go ahead, grow hard, grow smarter, go ahead, go hard, grow harder, go ahead, grow hard, grow smarter, go ahead, go hard, grow harder, photosynthesis, yeah, they get my plants like fertilizer and nitrogen, get my soil right. I get my plants fed and water cause they need it. The roots can be for the nutrients, so I weed it. Try to conserve my energy, I might need it later. When you use less fuel, it makes the profit greater. I'm eco-friendly when I'm growing. Thankful for the sunlight and water when it's flowing. Shout out to all the bees and all the pollinators. They have to reproduce the plants when we need them later. On the farm we grow the food that we need to eat. From the vegetables and fruits to the fresh meat. We grow that fiber for our clothes and to build with. And buy a fuel for my tractor, let's take a field trip. It's Farmer Brown going green even in my city. Growing hard, got the green team with me. First I break the ground, and then I till it up. Fertilizer down, let's see it, sow it up. Let it get some sun, every day I water it. Watch out for pests and weeds, until I harvest it. First I break the ground, then I till it up. Fertilizer down, let's see it, sow it up. Let it get some sun, every day I water it. Watch out for pests and weeds, until I harvest it. Go ahead, grow hard, grow smarter. Go ahead, go hard, grow harder. Go ahead, grow hard, grow smarter. Go ahead, go hard, grow harder. Break the ground, then I till it up. Put fertilizer down, let's see it, sow it up. Let them get some sun, every day I water it. Watch out for pests and weeds, until I harvest it. First I break the ground, then I till it up. Put fertilizer down, let's see it, sow it up. Let it get some sun, every day I water it. Watch out for pests and weeds.
All right. So everybody, please give a digital round of applause for this very creative manifestation. It was great, like step-by-step instructions. You know, it's like the real positive version of like Biggie's 10 crack commandments. I like the 10 Crack Commandments. That was a great song, but I didn't quite know what to do with that information. But now I know I got to break the ground and then I till it up, fertilize it down. What was it? What's the last one again?
Fertilizer down, plant seeds, and sow it up.
Plant seeds and sow it up, right? So that shows you the power of the subconscious mind. Like you're repeating this in your head, and you walk away. You cannot hear this song more than a couple of times and literally not walk away with knowledge on how to do this. Now, at least the basics, right? You know, and it makes me think about like how kids learn their ABCs. You know, the first time they learn is usually by singing a song. Right, or how they learn how to, I learned how to spell Mississippi, MISSISSIPPI, right? So that use of music as an educational tool is something that I think you did in an amazing way, man. So let me ask you this: so what's been the reception of this idea? I don't think I know anybody. I don't know if y'all know. Like, give me a yes or no if you've ever seen anybody rapping about agriculture or growing your own food or farming. What's that been like for you, man? To use hip hop in such a creative kind of space?
It's so it's some brothers. It's a brother DJ Cavum out of Colorado, then Corey Goo What It Do down in Florida, and so it's a few brothers that's representing. My specific niche is really getting to the seeds, the young ones, 3rd through 5th grade. This is when they're still impressionable. They don't necessarily have this narrative of agriculture as being slavery. This is when a lot of us first saw it in these social studies books, which now they're just trying to wipe history away, which once again helps us like, okay, now let's make this thing look fun. We make everything else look fun. Let's make agriculture look fun. But it's been a great reception. It's funny. Like I said, my original thing, I was just going to troll my niece and go in her class, so I could get my numbers. But, the kids react to it, and which is most important. This crazy black guy came to my class. He was talking about farming. But it's amazing, like you said, ABCD. It's amazing how quick they pick up on the information. And so it isn't about entertainment. It's about what is the most effective way. We're impacted by music. We're musical people. So.
Well, you know what? I love it, man. I think it's excellent. And everybody should know, actually, that Farmer Brown and John Henry have actually partnered with the Black Business School to teach how to grow your own food. I asked these brothers to do this because they are serious about what they do. I've seen these guys be super consistent with their work. They are here for the community. They are 100% B1. And so actually we laid out that date, the tentative date of your first live session to be May 13th. But you've actually got some content you created for those that want to get started, maybe put a garden in the backyard, things like that. And the URL, if everybody wants to go take a look, is healthyblackfood.com. So if you go to healthyblackfood.com, you can take a look at the class. He'll be in there. I assume you guys will be in there answering all kinds of questions and helping folks that want to get started. Also, there's a series of introductory videos that we're loading. Our team's loading that in there right now for those that just want to jump right in and start watching content and learning content right away. And so I really encourage everybody to consider this because growing your own food, it seems like that's kind of the next step. We've been talking about wealth and business and everything else, but if you don't have good food, then none of that really matters. So John, in terms of your thoughts for what you have learned, I don't know how long you guys been friends, by the way.
Me and Farmer Brown have been working together for 25 years. We started out. I met Trevor. When he was still in high school. He was in a rap group called Bonafide Circle. And me and some friends in college, we started a music production and management company called Junkyard Entertainment. Shout out to Frank Williams and Dip, Mark Silverberg. And they were one of our first groups. They were one of the first rap groups that we had. It was our Bonafide Circle, which included Farmer Brown. And I was actually kind of their first manager, a road manager. So that initial meeting and working partnership has grown into a real brotherhood, and now we're just the thing I like about Trevor is that he's a friend, but he's also a friend that he's a productive friend. It's like, okay, we're gonna be friends. We got to be doing something. So we're not going to be doing anything just to pass time. You know, we got to be doing something that's productive and that's going to produce something big, and not just for ourselves, but for others. And I love that. You know, and like some people look at him and they see, okay, he's rapping, he's talking about farming and all that. They think it's a gimmick, but you got to understand, this is real. This is real. This is real life. You know, yes, he's a rapper. He was signed as a rapper. Like he got record contracts. But yes, he's just as serious about agriculture and more so serious because of the effects that it has on the entire world. And anybody who's purpose driven like that, you know, I can't help but respect. You know, the same thing when I met you, Boyce. You know, I got my degree in economics from the University of Kentucky. Boyce was actually one of my tutors. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so it's like when I see purpose, I've been blessed to, you know, to see great examples of purpose-driven people, and you know, and it's a great thing to be able to call him my friend as well. But this is something that we all need to get. Like I said, this is a survival skill, people. It is a survival skill, and there are so many like we're talking about this economy. There are so many of us out of work. We're looking to start our own businesses, but there are so many unanswered business opportunities in the world of agriculture. It is the new economy for us. It's the new economy for even for the country. You know, we need to shore up our infrastructure. They're working on that now, but they need to. Obama tried to get it started, you know, with leaning more towards clean energy and sustainable living. We're dealing with natural resources that are non-renewable. Our demand cannot use it all up to where our future generations have nothing. We have to be more conscientious and intentful of how we use what we have and how to make it and how to use it better. We have the technology, we have the ancient technology, which was shown with our ancestors. Let's put it all together and create something better, or a better future, a brighter future, is for the existence of this human race. It's that serious.
Well, I love that. I love that. Well, you know, I think a lot of people were digging what you said about about how I call him Farmer Brown. I guess Trevor. I don't know which one I should use, but you said productive friend, and I think that's a good hashtag. Everybody hashtag productive friend, because I think having a productive friend is I mean, I would take one productive friend over, you know, 50 regular friends any day of the week, because we got a lot of friends, but how many of your friends actually help you eat? How many of your friends actually help you get your business off the ground? How many of your friends actually make you better? How many of your friends can help educate you and give you a better life? You know, how many of your friends can help you pay some bills? You know, so I think maybe all of us should take inventory of our productive friend. And also, when you talk about farming and growing things, you also grow relationships, you know, with people. And it's funny, John, man, you said you mentioned I was your tutor back in Kentucky, man. It's funny because that's how I actually met my wife that I'm marrying this month. I was her tutor. So wow. So I got some of the most productive people in my life came from being a tutor. I can't believe it. I'm sitting there reflecting on that, man. It's a blessing. So Farmer Brown, I'm gonna let you get the kind of last word. You know, for anybody that wants to take a look at your program that you have coming up. And by the way, if you go to healthyblackfood.com, everybody use the code word podcast. Use the code word podcast. You get 30% off just like that. What can people expect? Like what's the transformation that's going to happen if I'm a person who doesn't know anything about about getting started, creating a garden in my backyard, whatever the case may be? How am I going to be different once I'm done spending time with you?
We're starting everything from a seed, literal, proverbial, starting with the end in mind. The end in mind is we want new producers, people that can produce their own food in the best case scenario, worst case scenario. A lot of times we get caught in word salad, you know, scientific terms of everything, and it can sound overwhelming. And so what we do with this Black to the Garden, we really contextualize each bit of what it takes to produce on a small scale. You know, later classes we'll get into the more larger crops, more agriculture, but we're really starting with a seed, preparing people to be able to produce at their home with basic materials that are around them, easily accessible. We go through soil quality. You know, you have to have soil or some sort of matrix to produce your food. All soils aren't the same. you have to have seed. We throw this word organic, natural, heirloom around, and so we make the distinction between the different types of seeds. We go over, you know, where are you at? Where you're at is going to make all the difference in the world of what you can produce, the time of the year that you can produce it. We also have some national information as far as cooperative extension. Personally, it would be my dream that the melanated family would flood the HBCUs, not just for the entertainment value, but for these agricultural programs, since this is what's been told us that's going to help us. Take advantage of it because it's great information. Take advantage of your cooperative extension office. At each cooperative extension office at these 1890s land grants, you'll get the very specific needs for whatever plot you're growing on, whether you're talking about urban gardening or the large scale farms, or even some of the programs available for farmers. The information is there, but what happens is if you're not looking at it, you tend to miss it, and then you leave somebody with the ability to say, well, you know, it was there, you just didn't come from it. And so I would definitely encourage your viewers to take advantage of these opportunities. And when you get done with this Black to the Garden, it is our goal. I'm not going to say hope. It is our goal. And we intend for you to be confident that this is something you can do. This isn't a pet project that you do 1 or 2 years. Oh, this is cute. This is something that they say we're supposed to hit zero wealth by 2050. By 2030, we need to have a considerable amount of us that at least know how to produce food, regardless of what economic situation, political situation turns into. Hey, there was these crazy guys talking about agriculture or farming and gardening. I bought the course. I really took it serious. I tried my hand at it. I didn't just look at it and turn it off. I really tried it. By 2030, we're going to have some new producers. This is something that's palatable for your children. We definitely encourage you to get your children to look at it. Take notes. Apply it. You know, agriculture, farming, gardening, however you want to classify it, this is something you can do. Don't look at it as something that somebody else does. Every organism on this planet, first thing it learns how to do is procure its food. And so what we do in Black to the Garden is start from a seed.
Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I hope you all will join me in giving a digital round of applause to these brothers that are leading an important part of the movement. We got healthy food, healthy eating, growing our own food security. That is an important next step, which is connected to land acquisition, which is something that we need to talk about. I just shared that video today with King Randall from the X School for Boys, 21 years old, and talked about how he just bought 40 acres of land where he's building that school down there with those boys, and they're getting it done. This is the future. This is the new Black education. This is what liberation looks like. It means getting your own food. It means educating your own children. It means creating your own businesses. It means building your own wealth. When you do that, can't nobody tell you nothing. So if you would like to learn from Farmer Brown and John as well, they're going to get started on the 13th. There's some of the contents in there preloaded, so you can actually get started on stuff right now if you want to. You can go to healthyblackfood.com, use the code word podcast, and you can get 30% off. So feel free to go sign up. And thank you very much, brothers. It's been wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, Dr. Boyce.
All right. All right. So everybody, please hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button on your way out. And we'll be back tomorrow. We talk about Black economics every single day of the week because being Black is a 24-hour a day job. And we ain't going to sleep on the job because like my friend has a platform called Sleep is for Suckers. So you ain't going to catch us sleep because we always woke. So God bless everybody. Have a good day. We'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.